Phillips and Braun, Joe Mauer, and David Wright. Wright has been the U.S. hero so far in a couple of games. Ben Zobrist makes his first start and appearance of the World Baseball Classic. Adam Jones, Eric Hosmer, and Shane Victorino making his first start here this afternoon. All told, 25 All-Star appearances in the Team USA lineup. Canada has one of their, if not their ace. Second overall draft choice taken by the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 2010. Big right-hander Jameson Taillon.
Man, how would you feel if you were in his shoes, Matt? Double-A, top draft pick, but now you look up and down that USA lineup and you say, wow, look at all the All-Stars I'm facing. So I'm sure these early innings are going to be a challenge for him to kind of not look at the statistics of who he's facing. They're just a hitter with a bat in their hand. Go at him.
Jimmy Rollins set to open for Team USA. He, with David Wright, has really been the only consistent offensive threat for the Americans. Joe Mauer put together a multiple hit day yesterday. Jimmy 4 for 9
outside
in 2 games in Pool D play. And he begins with a 2-0 count against Jameson Taillon. Different conditions for the start of this one for sure. Doubleheaders yesterday, a doubleheader on Friday, and the roof had been closed for each. Sunshine, 67 degrees, and the roof and the panels beyond center field, perhaps more importantly, are open today.
Beautiful day, just baseball like you dreamed it would be, and you mentioned the panels for a reason. Because the word is, and it comes from the former great Diamondback pitcher, I believe you said, when the panels are open, ball carries a little bit better.
Conventional wisdom has been, and Kurt Schilling went a long way in making sure everybody knew that the ball goes a little better when it's open out there as it is today. That's Pete Orr at second base once again for Canada. He retires Jimmy Rollins, and there's one gone for Jameson Taillon.
Jameson Taillon, let's just check out what he's got going for him. When I say right on schedule, both these teams have tried to keep these pitchers on the same schedule they have in spring training. Every 5 days for the starters. The term now, the buzz term, is big arm. It used to be, oh, he's got a good arm, he's got a live arm. Jameson Taillon has a big arm, live fastball, and he just got Jimmy Rollins out on a breaking ball. Reputation he has a big-time curveball.
Here's Brandon Phillips now, the 2-time All-Star second baseman, 2 for 9 in the series, in the pool rather. And both of those hits coming yesterday in the American victory over Team Italy. Phillips sends a fly ball out to the opposite field. Michael Saunders there, and there are 2 quick outs for Jameson Taillon.
But let's check out the defense behind Jameson Taillon. Out in the outfield for Team Canada, Adam Lowen, the former pitcher. Tyson Gillies in center. You just saw Michael Saunders make that catch. Taylor Green, Cale Orge, Pete Orr, Joey Votto, a Gold Glover. Chris Robinson behind the plate doing the catching.
Not a lot of routine fly balls on a day like today. What they refer to as a high sky, no clouds, and the shadows will play a role at some point this afternoon. Ryan Braun picks on the first pitch and has a base hit.
That first pitch hit significant. Sam Ryan asked David Wright before we started the game here, but David kind of avoided it. He said, well, we want to keep taking our walks and pass it on to the next guy. I think what Team USA has lacked with all these All-Stars is their normal aggressive approach. They've been taking a lot of pitches in the other games, and there Ryan Braun got a first pitch he liked and centered it up.
So that puts a 2-out base runner aboard for Joe Mauer, the 5-time All-Star Minnesota Twin. 3 for 8 so far in World Baseball Classic play, and Joe takes a strike.
You can get trapped in games like this, international games, trapped as a hitter into saying, well, we got to run the guy's pitch count up. Let's make him throw some pitches. Well, if your style is to swing at the first good pitch, you don't want to change your style.
For those that have not seen any of the coverage so far, and we've made a big point of this because it's a big deal as to how the games are played. Braun's running. Robinson's throw down is not in time. A stolen base for Ryan Braun. 65 is the pitch count. And that's for the first round of the tournament. There are rules in terms of who's available moving forward. Get another look at the jump that Ryan Braun had. It was a big one. Robinson really had no shot to throw him out.
Tough shadows right here early in this game, right out. It's almost like late afternoon shadows on the East Coast. Braun got the good jump you mentioned. It slides in well before the ball arrived.
Ryan Braun, a threat to run, of course. Back-to-back 30 home run, 30 stolen base seasons for the Milwaukee Brewers. A chance for the U.S. to get on the board early now. And a swing and a miss by Joe Mauer.
I never realized that, having not been to Chase Field very often. These are the shadows you usually contend with late afternoon on the East Coast, where the pitcher is in the sunlight and the hitter is in the shadow. That makes it a little more difficult for the hitter. Very advantageous right now to the pitcher.
1 ball and 2 strikes, the count to Joe Mauer. Breaking ball misses the corner, and it's 2-2 now.
Jamison Tyon, the only player on Team Canada actually born in the United States. Born in Winter Haven, Florida, has dual citizenship.
Both of his parents are Canadian as well. That's one of the ways that a player can qualify to play for a certain country. Dual citizenship. If you have a family history, both parents in Jamison's case. So one hopper for Pete Orr. And the Americans are kept off the scoreboard in the first. Underway here at Chase Field. Back, let's take a look at Team Canada's starting lineup, brought to you by G.I. Joe Retaliation in theaters March 28. Tyson Gillies, Taylor Green, and Joey Votto lead things off, for Ernie Witt. It's going to be Justin Morneau and Michael Saunders, a combination that went 8 for 9 yesterday, batting 4 and 5. Chris Robinson, Adam Lewin, Pete Orr, and Cale Orge round things out for Team Canada. In fact, Canadians have used the same starting lineup now throughout Pool D. And on the mound in a big situation for Team USA, of course, Texas Ranger left-hander Derek Holland.
And if you saw that Canadian lineup loaded with left-hand hitters, and under normal circumstances, you'd say big advantage for a left-hand pitcher. You see Derek's numbers there, so we'll see how he handles the lefties.
First 5 to face him from the left side as Tyson Gillies leads things off. Hitless so far in World Baseball Classic play, 0 for 9. Gillies, Green, and Votto here for the Canadians. On the second pitch, a little ground ball to first. Eric Hopper's there for it and beats the speedy Gillies to the bank, 1 away.
Breakdown on Derek Holland. One common thing in terms with Jamison Tyon is that he's right on schedule, and pitching coach Greg Maddox very diligent about keeping these pitchers on their regular schedule that they're accustomed to in spring training. So he's on the 5th day. Big stage here for Team USA. He's had that experience with the Rangers pitching in the World Series, and he's a lefty that attacks the strike zone. And when you're limited to 65 pitches, you want to get as many of those in the strike zone as you can.
Here's Taylor Green now with 1 away. Green 4 for 9 so far in the World Baseball Classic. Milwaukee Brewer property, who has had a chance to start every game at third base in place of the injured Brett Lowry, who was lost to Team Canada before this pool play began because of an injured ribcage. And Green sends a little flare out to right that'll be caught by Ben Zobrist for round number 2.
Let's check out the rest of the USA defense behind Derek Holland. We just saw Ben Zobrist make that catch. And over in left field, first start here, Shane Victorino. Adam Jones, the Gold Glover, in center. Zobrist caught that fly ball in the infield. Lots of gold. David Wright at third. Jimmy Rollins, Brandon Phillips, Eric Hosmer over at first. Joe Mauer's got 3 Gold Gloves. He's behind the plate today.
So a little different look for Joe Torre in the afternoon game today. With 2 gone, here's Joey Votto now, the 3-time All-Star. Just 1 for 6 so far in 2 World Baseball Classic games. You know, when you think about Joe Torre's charge here and what he and the coaching staff have had to do, first of all, win and move on. Secondly, the responsibility to each of the major league teams has to be taken equally as serious. And that means guys have to get work. You know, Ben Zobrist had not played before today. we still haven't seen Willie Bloomquist. Shane Victorino had only one at-bat as a pinch hitter. So just as much in focus here is what these guys need to have to get ready for the major league season. There's a one-hopper up the middle. Rollins does a nice job to get there and retire Votto. Derek Holland gets Canada in order in the bottom of the first on a 9-pitch start to the afternoon. Niagara Falls. Why not some scenics of a place in the world that Americans and Canadians can both get to equidistant, yes, almost. David Wright leads things off in the top of the second. Team Canada and Team USA is scoreless first. David Wright dumps that pitch into the gap in left center field. Stay hot. David Wright now 5 for 10 this weekend here in Phoenix.
Ryan Braun singles on the first pitch. David Wright on the second pitch. 5th extra base hit for Team USA here going into their 3rd game. Coming off the grand slam, David Wright picks up an extra base hit of his own.
Leadoff hitter in scoring position now for Ben Zobrist, the switch-hitting right fielder this afternoon. Again, making his first appearance of the World Baseball Classic, let alone start.
This guy's a valuable player to have on your team. Switch hitter, can play a lot of different positions. In today's game during the regular season, where teams carry so many pitchers, you need a player, a versatile player like this.
A ball and no strikes to the 2009 All-Star Ben Zobrist.
You see Taillon trying to keep the ball away, and Zobrist intelligent enough as a hitter to know he wants to get something he can pull to the right side. You figure that both these teams have good depth in their pitching staff, so the object's going to be to get on the board early, get that first run, always the most important one.
Popped him up. A high infield pop. Again with the tricky sky. Taylor Green can't handle it. And there's nobody there behind the runner to make a play on David Wright. Well, you kind of saw that off the bat, Kitty. We mentioned the high sky this afternoon, and it plays a role early on.
There's the high sky Maddie's talking about. The players in the field would prefer to see a little cloud cover. But right here, the pitcher Jameson Taillon, you're going to see him point to it, then he runs to third base. Actually, Jameson would be better served if he was right between Votto and Taylor Green and kind of look at the ball and make a judgment. I think there was a little hesitancy there by Green saying, is Votto going to get it? You make that call early, it's really not Taylor Green's ball. That ball should have been caught by someone on the first base side of the infield.
So Taillon in an early jam now after the error charged to Taylor Green. Here's Adam Jones with 2 runners aboard and nobody out. Jones shows bunt and lays off.
Probably wasn't asked to bunt too often during the season with the Orioles, a run producer, but that's what the situation calls for right here.
Adam Jones batting 7th this afternoon for Joe Torre and Larry Bowa. This is the chair that Giancarlo Stanton had occupied in each of the first 2 games here in Pool D. Jones bunting again. He drops down a good one. Green gets him. Runners advance with 1 away.
Oh, that's impressive. The guy that's a run producer, oftentimes they're not very good at bunting, and Adam Jones with an effective sacrifice. I think, Matt, the early part of this game, more important for Team USA. You know, there's more pressure on them because they're expected to win. There's the well-executed bunt. So if they get a couple runs early on, I think it'll loosen that lineup on. The longer the game goes, is say a scoreless game, I think there's more pressure on Team USA because they're going to want to try maybe a little extra hard because of the fact they're favored. Put a little more pressure on themselves.
Here's Eric Hosmer now. He had a base hit in game 1 for USA and 0 for 4 yesterday. So the Royals first baseman 1 for 8 thus far over 2 games. A late add to the roster and trying to correct what have been some really skewed numbers. Not very good for the bottom of the order. You see the U.S. hitters 6 through 9 batting just over $1.
Is that good breaking ball that Taillon is known for?
Switch hitter Shane Victorino waits next. New look bottom of the order today for Team USA. On the ground at third. Green's going to come home. They've got Wright to run down. And Canada executes. They get the lead runner.
Well, runner knows, in this case, David Wright, if the contact play is on. I think right there, David disreacted. That ball was hit so hard. He had no chance to score on it. But once he reacted, you know, things again, I pointed out the baseball is a slow-paced game, but when you're down on the field, things happen in a hurry. You have to make quick decisions. David broke for home. He had no choice but to get caught in the rundown, hope the other runners would advance.
It's going to be up to Shane Victorino now, making his first start of the Classic. A bouncing ball to the right side of the infield, and the Americans' troubles with runners in scoring position continue. Now 4 for 29 here in the World Baseball Classic. And as Team USA continues its battle with Canada for a trip to the second round, let's take a look at another Team USA. G.I. Joe Retaliation in theaters March 28th.
Yeah. That boy, Jimmy. Come on, David, start us off, buddy. Nice play, man.
Larry Ball wearing a microphone this afternoon as he has throughout the tournament. Justin Morneau takes the first pitch here against Derek Holland and rips it into right center. And the former American League MVP and four-time All-Star picks up right where he left off on a 4-hit night yesterday, and a leadoff double here in the second.
Yeah, the run producers yesterday were Justin Morneau, and the guy stepping in the box right now, Michael Saunders. Justin gets a nice first pitch fastball, middle of the plate in, drives it to the gap.
This is circa 2007 for Justin Morneau, what he's doing, and the front line likes it.
Yeah.
6 hits for Justin in the World Baseball Classic, 3 of them for doubles. Here's Saunders now, and he shows bunt.
Well, you can see how both managers, even though they're quality hitters that could be run producers, but they want to get that first run on the board, because particularly Team USA has a pretty deep bullpen, and they get a couple runs early. Joe Torre can kind of piece it together to get to Craig Kimbrell in the 9th inning to wrap it up.
Saunders with a swing and a drive. That ball is crushed, and that one is gone. 2-0 Canada. Three pitches here in the second, a double and a 2-run dinger. Chris Robinson bounces it to second. Phillips knocks it down. He won't have a play.
Well, excuse me, Michael Saunders with that little decoy showing bunt on the first pitch, and then turns around and gets, I don't know if that was a hanging slider or just a flat fastball, but again, middle of the plate in, early in the count, quick hands. See you later.
Not only is that the first home run Michael Saunders has ever hit against Derek Holland, that's his first hit against his AL West adversary. He had been 0 for 9 against the Texas Southpaw during the course of the big league season. Gets to him for a big international home run this afternoon. Here's Adam Lowen now.
Well, that's a big league decoy, Matt, if he was really going to bunt. Because when you show bunt as a pitcher, if you think the guy's bunting, you want to throw him a high fastball. That's the toughest pitch to bunt. And that had a little too much of the plate. Saunders got the green light and turned on it.
Well, you know, we went on the air talking about Saunders and Morneau. And it's no secret as Lowen rips the next pitch into the opposite corner. Robinson had stopped. Victorino misplayed it left. And now they're runners at second and third with nobody out. That will likely be charged as a single and an error.
Well, even the ground ball hit to Brandon Phillips, I believe, was scored a hit, but I think it's a play that Brandon would say he should have made. And then here's the costly error. Costly because for the USA it allows the runners to get to second and third. That ball fielded cleanly, the double play would still be in order. And now early in the game, this changes the whole complexion, because the United States has to bring their infield in. Nobody out. They can't afford to give up another run.
Fedor has had a nice weekend. Had a big RBI knock yesterday. You know, part of this equation for Team USA and for everybody at the World Baseball Classic, Jim, was to try to assemble a roster as versatile as possible. At times, players have been asked to play out of position. Not to make excuses for Shane Victorino, but most of his big league defensive innings have been logged up the middle. Over 1,100 career games, and about 10% of them have been played as a left fielder.
That's true, but any outfielder knows fielding a ground ball is pretty routine if you're left, center, or right. You just get your body over in front of the ball, keep your eye on it. And he just made a mistake, bobbled it.
Former Philly property in Shane Victorino to current Philly property in Fedor, and that one almost hit him. A 2-ball and 1-strike count now.
It looked like it. That was very, very close to catching the jersey.
Fedor spent last season for the most part in AAA Lehigh Valley. Also got some big league time with the Phils, and is one of 2 Canadian players in the World Baseball Classic that's been with Team Canada now for all 3 cycles of the event. He was here in 2006, played for Team Canada in 2009.
I tell you what, these left-hand hitters are they are diving into Derek Holland's pitches. If I'm Derek Holland right now, not anybody, but you're going to have to make somebody move their ankles. I mean, you should be dominating left-hand hitters a little bit more than that.
Jam shot, ground ball to third right, keeps everybody in check and retires Fedor. There's one away.
Anytime you get left-hand hitters as a left-hand pitcher that are stepping in and driving the ball, you say, wait a minute, I got to tie a little bow tie on him and not hit him, but loosen him up and take away some of that aggression. That's a big out right there for Team USA.
Here's a right-handed hitter now for Canada in shortstop Cale Orge. Orge, as we have mentioned a couple of times over the weekend, son of former big leaguer Garth, and of course the nephew of Dane. He's making his first World Baseball Classic appearance.
Infield will stay in, obviously.
27-year-old Blue Jays property. Last year split a season between Single A and Double A in the Jays chain. If you're wondering about the splits against Derek Holland, given there are so many left-handed hitters in Ernie Whitt's lineup again today, 243 versus right, 243 versus left. 0-2 to Cale Orge.
Left-handers today do hit left-hand pitching better than years ago. One of the reasons is what I referred to. You know, pitchers are a little hesitant to run the ball up and in on hitters. They get warned for throwing at them. The next thing you know, you're kicked out of the game, and it makes left-hand hitters more comfortable against left-hand pitchers than they ever were. And they see more of them. Obviously, those batting averages go up.
Still 0-2 to Orge.
What we've seen of Cale so far, unlike his uncle Dane, Dane had a more compact, quick swing. Father Garth, but Cale has a rather long swing, very susceptible to the high fastball, which is what Derek Holland threw him right there. He's got to get it started in a hurry if he wants to catch up with that.
Again, the infield in for Team USA. The 0-2 fastball misses up and in. Only one seat left in Miami. The Dominican Republic is moving on. So is Puerto Rico and Italy. And that fourth chair will be occupied by one of these two teams as a result of the outcome here this afternoon. And a called strike 3 taken by Gaylord. He thought that was up and away.
Well, let's see where it was. Well, by design, you'd say it was high. You don't get many high breaking balls called for strikes. But see, that came across the hands. When he strode into the ball was right about where his hands were. Technically, if it's below the letters, it should be a strike. But very seldom do pitchers get called strike 3s on high breaking pitches.
So it'll be up to the top of the order. Tyson Gillies as our Philly theme continues. Gillies is 0 for 10 in the World Baseball Classic. And another player who answers to the parent club in Philadelphia once the Classic ends. A swing and a miss on a breaking ball. Got a final score between Spain and Venezuela. This in Pool C. And this nothing more than consolation play. Neither of those teams moving on in the tournament. You know, there are some nuances here, Jim, and we'll get into it in a little bit regarding who finishes as the loser this afternoon. We know the winner moves on. But for the loser, the next World Baseball Classic becomes a very dicey proposition. We'll tell you why a little bit later on. That story doesn't come close to the magnitude of a win or go home. That's really the main focus here. So we'll get to that later. And also a little bit later on, in fact, next inning, we're going to visit with Ken Griffey Jr., who will join us here in the booth.
That pitch clearly outside.
2 balls and a strike. Taylor Green waiting next. Well into that left-handed heavy lineup is Derek Holland. We have told Tyson Gillies' story this weekend. The fact that he is hearing impaired, has only 30% of his hearing in one ear, 50% in the other. Uses hearing aids, has the ability to read lips. Cannot hear the crack of the bat on defense. Yet, as we've seen over the weekend, that has hardly been an issue. He is a terrific defensive outfielder. Looking for his first hit of the Classic. And it's going to have to wait. 2 runs on the Saunders home run, but it could have been a whole lot worse as 2 runners are stranded in scoring position in the second. Canada off to the early 2-0 lead. Ken Griffey Jr. joins us in the booth coming up next. Well, earlier today, Ken Griffey Jr. spent a little time up over the valley in the MetLife blimp, and we're pleased to say that it all went okay because he joins us live and in person in the booth after the experience in the blimp. Ken, welcome. It's great to see you.
Nice seeing you guys.
How was the experience up at the blimp, by the way?
For the first time, it was a lot of fun. Got my pilot's license in 07. So.
Oh, did you really? I didn't know that.
So, you know, being in a lighter than air ship was a little different. So it was a lot of fun.
All right. Ken is here at the World Baseball Classic and visiting with us on behalf of MetLife. There's a really neat way to vote online these days as Jimmy Rollins leads off for Team USA and goes down on 3 pitches to Jameson Taillon. You can go to worldbaseballclassic.com/team vote, and for the first time you can vote for the most outstanding players in the Classic. It starts at 11:59 Eastern and continues through the final on Tuesday, March 19th. So you being a veteran of this event, you played in 2006 when it was brand new, and now you're watching how the thing has evolved. Talk about where you think the event is in terms of growth and in terms of folks kind of grabbing it and hanging on.
I think it's going to go it's going in the right direction. I think the kids are now understanding, you know, what it means to wear the jersey. You know, you see a bunch of them in town. You know, USA jerseys. I think that's important. You know, you've got quite a few great ball players here. So, you know, it doesn't matter what team you root for. You know, you're going to root for your nationality, your home team. But it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Did you like and enjoy your experience when you know, there was some skepticism when it first came on the scene, but did you embrace it?
I had a lot of fun. I didn't go to college and be able to do it that way. So I was able to do it at age 36. And I got to enjoy it with not only my teammates. I got my dad to be the hitting coach or first base coach, and my son to be the bat boy. So 3 generations at the World Baseball Classic was a thrill in itself.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. So if a young player said to you, hey, is it worth it? You'd say, wow, it's fun. I'd go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Did you remember, I mean, back in the day, did you guys notice, and I know we visited with Al Leiter about this, the fact that international play is a little different? I mean, it's still baseball, but it feels a little different, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it feels a little different. Going over the rules, they were, you know, you can win by this many by the 5th, this many by the 7th.
Yeah.
We were all like, can we do this during the season?
Can you get the starter out after 65 pitches during the season?
Yeah, that'll work too. You know, so it was a challenge the first couple days, you know, trying to adjust to the rules. But for the most part, you know, we handled it and we understood it. And the managers kept emphasizing, keep it going. Don't embarrass nobody, but just play hard.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing is these guys right now, you know, coming out, once that first pitch is thrown, it's a baseball game. And you got to go out there and play baseball like you know how to play.
3 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Ryan Braun, batting with 2 gone and the bases empty. A lot of folks have wondered, Ken, what has Ken Griffey Jr. been doing since the time you hung up the spikes? And as we just take a moment to digest the career accomplishments, and it's not something you can do in a snapshot glance, but we note that you were named to the All-WBC team back in 2006. Tell us how you've been spending your time the last couple of years.
I am on a charter. I go see my kids. Trey's at U of A. So I spend a lot of time in Tucson. Got a daughter who's a junior in high school, and got a little guy who's, you know, 6th grade, 5th grade. So I spend a lot of time being a dad.
Busy being dad. Well, we certainly appreciate the time with us here in the booth, and it's great that you're out there as an ambassador for the World Baseball Classic. Ken Griffey Jr., thanks very much.
No, thank you, guys.
Middle of the 3rd, still 2-0 Canada.
132 with our contestant Chance.
Welcome back to Chase Field. 2-0 Canada. Elimination baseball here in the final game of Pool D of the World Baseball Classic. One of these 2 teams moves on to Miami next week. The other heads home. A 2-0 lead for Canada, courtesy of a Michael Saunders home run. Derek Holland back to work in the bottom half of the 3rd. He gets Taylor Green to lead it off.
My, how time flies, Matt, seeing Ken Griffey Jr. in here. One of the first interviews I did doing baseball for CBS was when he and his dad played together in Seattle.
Wow.
It was 1990. We're in that era.
Sounds about right.
Some career he's had, and it sounds like life is very good for him right now.
Oh,
Good
why
to see.
not?
Yeah.
Green, Votto, and Morneau here in the 3rd inning for Canada. And a swing and a miss. And strikeout number 2 for Derek Holland today.
Well, Derek Holland, even though he gave up 2 runs, the biggest 2 outs he got Pete Orr to ground out. Been on 2nd and 3rd. Ended up getting out of that inning just 2 runs. Canada could have put a little distance between him, and I'll tell you, Jamison Taillon, for a Double-A pitcher, how impressive has he been against this all-star lineup in the first 3 innings?
Well, you get a little sense for what the Pirates have been so excited about. You also get a little sense for what the Pirates said when Taillon was drafted. Joey Votto with an 0-1 count. And that is this. We know what a superstar Bryce Harper has turned into. And a lot of people saw that coming. The Pirates claimed all along that they had Taillon slotted above Bryce Harper. And if they had the number 1 pick, it would have been Taillon anyway.
That gives you an idea of the potential. Scouts think of it. Ways looked the first 3 innings today. They wish that 65 pitch count wasn't there. It looked like he could go all 9.
That's not a bad slice of draft selections there, the top 5 picks in 2010. Taillon at 35 pitches. Derek Holland has just passed that number. That was his 38th, as a matter of fact, as he works to Joey Votto with a 3-1 count.
these are the kinds of hitters, Joey Votto, you do not want to be in hitters counts, which he's in right now, 3-1.
Full count now.
But again, there's the example of the difference between a big league pitcher and a pitcher that has trouble making it to the big leagues. Get your breaking pitches over when you're behind in the count, when a hitter might be looking for a fastball.
Justin Morneau waiting next. Base is empty. The full count pitch home. It's ball 4. So now the hot hands have a chance to bat with the runner on as Morneau steps into the batter's box and Michael Saunders moves on deck. This is a Canada roster that thought it was going to have some additional firepower a few weeks ago. Russell Martin was going to play. His desire to play shortstop was turned down. Russell decided not to play and catch. Certainly his prerogative with a new uniform, learning a new staff in Pittsburgh. But it would have been something that Ernie Whitt would have appreciated, having some additional big league presence. Jason Bay's not here.
There you see what 4 through 6 have done for Canada.
Brett Lowry was hurt.
The 3 lefties.
Morneau with the same swing and almost the same result. Zobrist can't hang on, and now Votto's stuck between first and second. They're able to get the out on Joey on base. And that could have been a whole lot worse for Team USA. The Americans really catch a break.
Not much Joey Votto can do about that except to keep your eye on Ben Zobrist. You know, he made the diving catch. It appeared that he did. And Joey Votto said, I got to get back. Actually, he trapped it to begin with.
Sure did.
And again, it's one of those you got to make a quick decision. Votto picks it up. Oh, he caught it. I've got to get back. And then by the time he realized he didn't, it's too late. Not really a lot of blame you can put on Joey Votto for that. It's a nice job by Zobrist of keeping the ball in front of him so he can get that out at second.
So now the red hot Michael Saunders, 7 for 8 in the World Baseball Classic. He hit the 2-run home run that put Canada on the board in the second. I have certainly noticed, and I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Jim, the fact that Joey Votto, again with the bulky knee, the cuts aren't as sharp as they may be in June or July after Joey's had a chance to test that knee. Now, he wouldn't be here if he wasn't able to play. He is healthy enough to be here. The Reds would have said no if there was anything close to an issue. That having been said, Joey still looks like he is mindful of the knee.
Probably is. I mean, over a course of 162 games, very few players will say I was 100% sound and healthy every day. It's just little nicks you have to learn to play with.
Saunders with another drive, this one to center and playable, however, for Adam Jones. And again, the U.S. in and out of trouble here in the third. Still 2-0 Canada. Welcome back to Phoenix. The Minnesota Twins have put more players in the World Baseball Classic than any other team in Major League Baseball. The Mauer and Morneau connection playing a role here tonight, each representing their home country. And that duo, the M&M boys, as they're known in the Twin Cities, are going to take the Twins as far as they may go in 2013.
Quite a pair. Look at the bottom. Mauer, 3-time batting champion for a catcher. That's incredible. All the wear and tear in their body.
The American part of the M&M connection leads things off in the U.S. fourth. Mauer, Wright, and Zobrist against Jamison Taillon. The problem in the Twin Cities has not been Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau per se. It's been keeping them on the field healthy at the same time.
Joe with some back issues, and of course Justin Morneau, for those of you that follow baseball, his injury is well documented with a concussion that he suffered.
Mauer rips a base hit into right, but Joe has really looked good in this event. 4 for 10 in the World Baseball Classic.
Thanks, man.
So a runner aboard now for David Wright, who picked up right where he left off yesterday. The game-winning grand slam. David doubled to start the second inning today. Ben Zobrist moves into the on-deck circle. Taillon out of the stretch with a runner aboard. You know, for Twins fans, by the way, might have thought they'd need to make the trip to Fort Myers to watch their team at spring training.
Pretty good right out here.
Good alternative is to come here. I mean, you got a lot of guys on the big league roster that are here playing in the World Baseball Classic. Arguably two of the biggest stars in the division, let alone on the Twins roster, right here in Phoenix this weekend. One ball and then one strike to count from Jameson Taillon to David Wright.
It's been impressive so far, Taillon. 3 innings, very efficient. Seems to have command of all of his pitches and command of his emotions for a young pitcher facing this lineup. But counts like this, David Wright told Sam Ryan, you know, we want to be patient and take our walks because we know we got a great hitter hitting behind us, every guy in the lineup. So David in this at bat going to be a little more selective.
Whenever there is a high school right-hander taken as high in the draft as the first or second overall pick, and it hasn't happened very often, the comparisons usually follow, and the name you usually hear is Josh Beckett, especially with somebody built like Jameson Taillon, big power pitcher. Not fair to compare, yet it's done anyway. The draft stories are littered with tales of high school right-handers chosen early in the process, first or second round, that never get there. And you could list the guys on one hand who have. Josh Beckett, Bill Gullickson, J.R. Richard. And the Pirates are hoping that in Jameson Taillon they have a high school right-hander draft choice, second overall, that's going to be there for a long, long time. Ball 4 to David Wright.
That's a tough gamble on the pitch selection. I know there again is a hitter's count. You know, 3-1, go to 3-2, and missed with a 3-2 breaking ball.
14 Canada.
And Wright's not going to offer at that pitch. That just puts a little more pressure on. We talked about last inning where Derek Holland got his breaking ball over when he's behind in the count, and that's the challenge any young pitcher has ahead of him. He's going to pitch in the big leagues.
Right fielder Ben Zobrist.
See what Joe Torre opts to do right here. They're working down toward the bottom of the order that hasn't been productive, but again, to get back to a tie game, you would expect a sacrifice bunt, advance the runners, but he might give Zobrist one swing just on the first pitch. We'll see.
Zobrist shows bunt and executes. It's to third base. Green's got to hurry. The throw goes bad. And here comes Mauer. The U.S. is on the board on the second error charged to Team Canada this afternoon.
Again, down on the field, make a quick decision. Watch Taylor Green. He began to retreat to third base, thinking Taillon would make the play. Then he had to change his mind, come in, make an off-balance throw, couldn't make it accurately. Just that little break toward third base is what caused him to throw that ball away.
The U.S. has executed small ball very effectively here so far this afternoon. Now Adam Jones, who dropped down a sac bunt back in the second. Jones swinging away here, sends a line shot out to center. That's going to bring in David Wright and tie the score at 2.
First baseman.
Second.
Osberg.
Second.
he is having a ball.
Well, you know, Ken Griffey Jr. talked about, you know, how enjoyable it was. One of the things the World Baseball Classic trying to overcome is the naysayers that just think, well, it's an exhibition, players don't care. And when you're here, you see that's not true at all.
Eric Hosmer 1 for 9 in the World Baseball Classic, lines it into the opposite field for Adam Lowen, and that's out number 2. So look at the way the U.S. has scored their 2 runs this afternoon. This is a lineup, by the way, with 25 All-Star appearances. Plenty of pop. And here in the 4th, they get a run on a base hit, a walk,
Left fielder.
an infield single, error, and a sac fly.
See, that's why you can take the sabermetricians and the stat guys and throw it in the trash can.
Uh-oh, be careful. They'll start tweeting about you.
I don't care, but I mean, this is what you see here. You got an all-star lineup. It's a walk, a bunt, an error, little things like that, and all of a sudden it's a tie game. More games are lost by the team losing, making mistakes, than won by the team doing everything perfect.
I think it's interesting, too, when you talk about, say, Ben Zobrist, who is asked to bunt a little more frequently than other players on this roster playing for Joe Madden and all. You know, compare Zobrist, who executed a perfect sac bunt, to Adam Jones, who doesn't bunt a lot. In fact, Adam Jones averages about a sac bunt a year, and they've both executed it perfectly here. I think it speaks to what Joe Torre has preached, the selfless nature of how you play the international game. 0-2 to Victorino.
Now choice here, 2 out, 2 strikes. Lead run on first. Good gamble. Just be trying to, if Joe Torre says, let's give Shane Victorino a fresh count to start the next inning, send Ben Zobrist right here.
Shane Victorino wearing number 50 here for Team USA for this event. And just when you start to speculate and think who is his favorite backup Mike linebacker in the Canadian Football League or something like that. Unusual number to see on baseball. Number 50 for Hawaii, the 50th state in the Union. The 1-2 to the flying Hawaiian. Misses high and away. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jamison Taillon up over 50 pitches now. There is some bullpen activity behind him for the first time this afternoon. And a breaking ball swung out and missed. The U.S. settles with 2. A couple of runs on 2 hits and an error. Middle of the 4th. All back to even. Aerial views this afternoon made possible by MetLife. You know what's best for your family. MetLife has the tools to get you started. Visit MetLife.com today. MetLife, I can do this. Catcher Chris Robinson leads off Canada's half of the 4th. Back to a 2-2 tie now after the Americans played a pair on 2 hits and an error in the top of the inning. Robinson here, followed by Adam Lowen and Pete Orr. Nobody up behind Derek Holland in the U.S. bullpen. He's at 47 pitches. And there's a fly ball out to that tough Sun field in right for Ben Zobrist. And 1 away. We talked about how Derek Holland has pitched under bigger pressure in his brief major league career. Same cannot be said for Jamison Taillon. Yet there is somebody here on this Team Canada roster who feels that same kind of pressure, or at least who has felt it in the World Baseball Classic in the past, and that's Adam Lowen. Sam Ryan has more on that story. Sam?
Oh, that's exactly right, Matt. Adam Lowen, if you remember, he was drafted by the Orioles in 2002 as a pitcher, and he pitched here in the World Baseball Classic in 2006 for Team Canada against the U.S. on the international stage, a game that Team Canada won 8 21-6. They call that miracle on dirt that game. Adam, just like Jamison Tyne, was 21 years old at the time, a pitcher who had not pitched beyond Double-A at the time. I asked him if he had advice for Jamison Tyne before this game. He said if he needed it, sure, I would have offered it up, but this kid had all the confidence in the world going on, guys.
And yeah, we see the young Adam Lowen here, Sam, back in 2006 without the beard, before the surgeries, when he was a young pitcher. First 3 seasons in the big leagues as a pitcher. There's a hot shot back to Holland, and he gets it over to first in a hurry to retire Adam Lowen.
They come back a little faster than they go in. And that was a good at bat by Lowen. Took a breaking ball, the third one in the sequence, and Derek Holland just able to get his glove out, knock it down. Good reactions, and better count that as a pitch. That was a big league fastball. He threw to first base. Lowen hustling down the line, out by a step.
Here's Pete Orr now with 2 out and the base is empty. You really have to want it to come back and do what Adam Lowen has done to get back on the field. He thought his baseball career was over. Stress fracture in his left elbow, chronic arm soreness, some of which was a result of the stress fracture, and most guys would have shut it down at that point. Adam still wanted to play, came back as a first baseman outfielder, and is Blue Jays property as we speak. A ball and 2 strikes, the count to Pete Orr. Be the 55th pitch of the afternoon by Derek Holland, and he uses it to strike out Pete Orr and retire the Canadians in order in the 4th. Chase Field in Phoenix to the top half of the 5th inning. Didn't Evel Knievel jump over that at one point?
Probably.
Snake River Canyon. Yeah. Top of the 5th for Jimmy Rollins. The top of the order for Team USA against a new pitcher for Team Canada. Big right-hander Dustin Mulligan takes over for Jamison Tyne.
Never pitched in the majors, but you see down at the bottom, like a lot of pitchers in the World Baseball Classic, they've resurfaced after experience in Japan. So on paper, you would say advantage USA. They got all big league relievers. Canada's coming at you with pitchers that haven't had much big league, if any, experience, but they're doing the job so far.
Rollins pops it up into that right field sun. Michael Saunders deals with it one away. Dustin Mulligan is property of the Nippon Ham Fighters. Not what many of us thought that was when we started to learn about Japanese League Baseball. You see that and you think Nippon Ham Fighters, and you think to yourself, what's a ham fighter? It's Nippon Ham, and the name of the team is the Fighters.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I was wondering what a ham fighter was until somebody finally got me right on that.
Now we know.
Here's Brandon Phillips now with 1 away.
Dustin obviously a relief pitcher because he's working out of the stretch, even though there's nobody on base. All of that.
We saw Mulligan here Friday, 2 scoreless innings against Italy, and they were about the only 2 innings in which Canada was able to keep Italy from doing any damage. The Italians won that game by way of the mercy rule, you'll recall. A 14-4 drubbing.
We've mentioned, Matt, for those who have not seen all or many of these games, World Baseball Classic, that pitchers like Dustin Mulligan, 8 years in the minors with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Rockies, never got to the big leagues. Now why all of a sudden is he pitching well? Well, they went to Japan. In Japan, they do it different. You throw more pitches, not fewer pitches. You go to spring training, and Frankie Catalanato from Team Italy was saying how many of their pitchers go to Japan, and all of a sudden they get to throw more and they develop into better pitchers. Mulligan, an example of that.
Brian Braun and Joe Mauer waiting next. The 1-2 to Phillips is fouled away. Yeah, the Pirates found Dustin Mulligan out of Lethbridge Community College in Alberta. He's a Regina, Saskatchewan native, and drafted him with their 15th choice back in 2003. There is a something of a Pittsburgh Pirates theme on Team Canada, certainly with Jameson Taillon now looking at one of their ex-draftees. That's bounced up the middle. Garth Orge has it, and there are 2 gone in the 5th. I knew I'd slip into one of the Orges from the 80s and 90s. It's Cale Orge, of course.
Garth will appreciate getting credit for the assist.
That's right. Talking about his dad most of the tournament. Shadows perhaps starting to play a role. You can see that Adam Lowen is engulfed in shadow and left. Here's Ryan Braun now with 2 gone and the bases empty. On the first pitch, popped him up. And it's a 1-2-3-5 for big Dustin Mulliken. Middle of the afternoon, tied at 2 as we send you back to the MLB Network studio to check in with Scott Braun. Putting on the foil, coach.
Both those teams already going to Miami. They've advanced. First pitch foul ball there, and Matty, I think this will be a 1-hitter, 2-hitter at the most as the pitch count gets towards 65. Jeremy Affeldt, the veteran lefty who accustomed to coming in the middle of innings, is getting ready.
Orge lays off, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
I mentioned that middle of innings because Joe Torre has a bullpen, and he and Greg Maddux have said guys that are accustomed to starting the inning, we bring them in to start a clean inning. Guys accustomed to coming in with men on base, like Affeldt is, we'll bring him in during the middle of it, either with a man on or not. There's Jeremy, probably heating up for Tyson Gillies or Taylor Green.
There are still a handful of U.S. relievers who have not had any work at the World Baseball Classic. David Hernandez and Heath Bell, and closer Craig Kimbrell as Orge swings and misses. And there's 1 gone for Derek Holland in the 5th rather.
I think that's 4 strikeouts in a row. He's really, since those left-hand hitters got aggressive with him back in inning number 2, he's picked up a little sharpness on his breaking ball. You see Derek Holland with a quick look over at Eric Hosmer, said, "Be alive. This guy might try to drag a bunt on me." It's the way pitchers and first basemen communicate with.
Here is the list of players yet to appear for Team USA. Now, for Gio Gonzalez, he is scheduled to start should the team get as far as Miami next week. He'd get the next starting assignment. Gillies is, in fact, bunting as he fouls it away. The only thing that Greg Maddux and Joe Torre really determined in advance and shared with anybody was that Craig Kimbrell was going to close. Other than that, the bullpen was not assigned roles per se. He talked about how they had saved certain guys as, quote, get out of jam guys, and certain guys as fresh inning guys. But there's not a formula here. It's not X gets the 7th, Y gets the 8th, Z gets the 9th. Tyson Gillies sends a flare out to shallow right. Zobrist makes the catch, keeping Gillies hitless in Phoenix this weekend.
Oh, isn't that cool? If you know your pitch count's getting, you start saying, I get another inning in. He's only thrown 3 pitches, and so he can face Taylor Green and finish the at bat. Because even though his pitch, as a look at what Matty's talking about, the USA bullpen 10 innings and just 4 hits and an earned run in the World Baseball Classic. Derek Holland can face Taylor Green and finish the entire at bat, even though his pitch count might go above 65.
A ball and no strikes to Taylor Green. You know, no disrespect to the rest of Team Canada's lineup, but the guys you really have to worry about, Votto, Morneau, and Saunders. You hope, if you're Team USA, to have to face only more than once or twice before the end of the afternoon.
And that's why Affeldt's getting ready, obviously. Even if Derek Holland gets Green out, Affeldt will probably get that heart of the order in the next inning.
On the ground is shortstop. Rollins makes a tough play, a very strong throw to retire the side in order. 7 in a row set down by Derek Holland. He played 5 complete, still tied 2 apiece. Less than a month away. Dustin Mulligan continues. Joe Mauer the first to face him here in the midst of a 2-2 tie, top of the 6th inning. Mauer, Wright, and Zobrist. Big Canadian right-hander worked 1, 2, 3 in the 5th in relief of Jamison Taillon. Mauer with an opposite field drive. That moves out of low and into the corner where he puts it away for round number 1. Four in a row shut down by Mulligan.
Third baseman David Wright.
You know, like most athletes from Canada, Dustin Mulligan has ties to hockey. His uncle, Lorne Mulligan, coached the Chicago Blackhawks in the late 1990s. That's why yesterday, when that little fracas broke out between Canadians and Team Mexico, you thought, oh boy, somebody's going to get hurt here. David Wright on the first pitch bounces it out to second base. Pete Orr makes the play. In fact, Pete Orr was one of the players ejected after the dust-up with Team Mexico yesterday. The World Baseball Classic Committee, WBCI, they set the rules. That's like the front office for this event. They decided that of the 7 ejections that resulted in yesterday's fight, there would be no suspensions moving forward. The rationale was because one of those teams was not going to move on, and very possibly neither one of those teams were moving on. So any disciplinary action beyond just the ejection would not be necessary.
Sound reason. And with 2 out here in a close game, we won't get into some of the details of why it happened and what could be done about it, but we will during the course of the game.
One to Ben Zobrist is in for a strike.
Mulligan not afraid to throw strikes. 80% of the pitches he's throwing up there in the strike zone. Now he got a little break on that one. I would assume with these shadows it might be a little difficult for the home plate umpire to see the ball as well as the hitters coming from the sunlight to the shadow.
Get over! And a bouncing ball to the right side. Orr makes a great play. From the first is not in time. I didn't think Pete Orr had even a chance to get a glove on that ball. Infield single for Ben Zobrist.
If you heard the audio there from catcher Chris Robinson, you heard "get over," and I think
Center fielder
that
Adam
ball right
Jones.
there, I think Joey Votto had a better chance at it than Pete Orr. You know, I had a terrific first baseman, the late Don Mincher, and I would say, Minch, any ball hit between first and second, you go for the ball, I'll get the bag.
Come on, guys. Let's go, guys, right here. Let's go. Attaboy, Jonesy. Great job, man. Great job.
I see you, baby. I see you, baby.
Nice, nice.
Practice it, huh?
Be alive. Good job. That a way to get out of it. That a way to battle.
Team U.S. bench coach Larry Boa doing his best to rally support in the midst of a 2-2 tie here, bottom half of the 6th inning. A new pitcher on the mound for the Americans. Derek Holland was terrific after 2 innings today, and he yields in favor of a fellow left-hander, Glenn Perkins.
And fans might wonder, well, what happened to Affeldt? He was warming up the last inning. And here's an example. Perkins accustomed to starting innings, so he gets to start this inning. Affeldt, even though he was up tossing a bit, he could be used later coming in during the middle of an inning. So Perkins will be called on to face 3 quality left-hand hitters, Votto, Morneau, and Saunders.
Without a question, the scariest part of Team Canada's lineup. Heath Bell is up behind Glenn Perkins, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Joey Votto. When folks in the Twin Cities, Jim, and I know that's a spot of the world that you're fond of, they have to feel particularly proud of what's happening for Team USA. You've got St. Paul native Joe Mauer and Minnesota Twin star behind the plate. St. Paul native University of Minnesota standout Glenn Perkins on the mound. Both Twin stars, both representing Team USA in an elimination day here in the World Baseball Classic. feather in the cap for the Twin Cities.
And Justin Morneau in the on-deck circle representing Canada. A twin.
St. Paul Battery. And it's a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Joey Votto. Glenn Perkins became the Twins closer last year when Matt Capps went down to injury. The first of a 3-year contract extension last year. And the payoff pitch home to Votto. He checks his swing. The appeal, he did not go around, says the Venezuelan umpire, Miguel Hernandez. Glenn Perkins is the only U.S. reliever to have allowed a run in the first 2 games of the tournament. As you can see, Votto clearly holed up on that replay.
Now batting, designated hitter.
And there's a runner on now
Morneau.
for yet another twin, as Jim mentions, Justin Morneau.
Yeah, no walks are good. Lead-off walks late in the game particularly. And then to compound the situation, here's a guy who's been swinging early in the count and aggressively, and he knows right now Perkins wants to get ahead and throw a strike.
0-1.
For Larry Boa, they'd like to see left side of the infield, left side move a little. It moved Victorino over something.
0-2 to Justin Morneau.
Reason for that is Heath Bell is loosening in the USA bullpen. Perkins not an overpowering lefty, and I think they'd rather see Victorino shade Morneau over toward the gap in left center a little bit more.
Back in 2006, when Justin Morneau was en route to American League MVP honors, that's when Glenn Perkins was just kind of scratching the surface on his major league career. He was called up from AAA Rochester that year to get 4 appearances. Shuttled back and forth between the minors and the big league club the next couple of years, and there's a base hit for Justin Morneau. The plot thickens, runners at first and second with nobody out in the 6th.
Yeah, that's the price you pay for a leadoff walk. The first baseman holding the bag. Normally this would be just a ground out. Instead of it's a single, now 2 on, nobody out. And Votto and Morneau, the more well-known left-hand hitters, but this guy stepping in right now has been as aggressive stepping into the ball and taking aggressive swings as any hitter, Michael Saunders.
Saunders is 1 for 2 with the 2-run home run today, but 7 for 9 in the World Baseball Classic with 5 runs batted in. David Wright's tucked in close at third. Saunders rolls out, foul off his foot.
Feel better when it quits hurting. The previous at bat, he showed bunt on the first pitch and then turned around and ripped the Derek Holland fastball. That one got him more on the top of the shoe.
Wow. There have been just a handful of plate appearances between these two during the big league season. Michael Saunders has faced Glenn Perkins twice, and he struck out both times. Nothing in 1. And fastball making it 0-2. And a called strike 3.
He knew it.
Glenn Perkins makes quick work of Canada's hottest hitter.
We're going to want somebody to come in and talk to Glenn Perkins a little bit right now to give Heath Bell a little more time to get ready. I think if you're a fan of Team Canada and wonder why they didn't have Saunders bunt, this is the reason right here. They're working down toward the bottom of the lineup.
Chris Robinson is singled tonight. 4 for 7 in the World Baseball Classic. A fly ball out to right. Zobrist is there under it. Fado's going to tag up and get to third, and there are runners at the corners now with 2 away.
That's great. That's a great game. You know, Rose head first slide. That's a great shot.
Good at bat. Robinson driving that ball the other way. Joe Torre stayed with Perkins instead of Heath Bell, because he has 2 more left-hand hitters due up right now.
Well, with 2 out, it's going to be up to Adam Lowen to try to get that go-ahead run across from third base. Adams 1 for 2 today. 2 for 9 here in the World Baseball Classic.
No, that's good.
On the first pitch, a base hit. Canada retakes the lead. Glenn Perkins has limited left-handed hitters to a batting average less than 200 over the past couple of years, but a couple of south swingers get to him here in the 6th, and it spells a run and a 3-2 advantage for Canada.
He'd been going to a lot of first pitch breaking balls. He tried a first pitch fastball, got it out over the plate too far. Lowen cashed it in.
And now Pete Orr, he's 0 for 2 today. A run on a couple of hits here for Canada. There's a foul pop right, hoping for a play, and it's well into the dugout. Well, once again, Jim, and we talked about the middle of Canada's order. It's been that combination, Votto, Morneau, Sanders, and now put Adam Lowen into that equation today because he's got a couple of hits and an RBI. Middle of Canada's lineup doing the job for Ernie Witt.
Yeah, left-hand hitters against left-hand pitching, quality left-hand pitching. You've done the damage.
Saunders with the 2-run home run. I believe I misspoke, called it Sanders earlier. Just thinking about lunch. Ball and 2 strikes to Pete Orr.
Just a bit outside.
We mentioned earlier, and we'll get into it next half inning. As we know, the winner moves on. Whoever loses this game today is going to end up finishing last in Pool D. We're going to talk a little bit more about that next half inning, what it means if the U.S. loses today and finishes last in the bracket or strikes out, but not before Team Canada can play the run. A run on a pair of hits and a walk. And the U.S. has 9 outs left to try to catch the Canadians and avoid elimination this afternoon. Here is the information we've talked about regarding who'll move on and who'll go home. If the U.S. wins, they would win Pool D, and they would do so by virtue of their win over Italy yesterday. They'd both be 2-1, but the U.S. would get the nod because of its tiebreaker status. Philippe Aumont takes over for Canada as we continue this. Mexico would finish last place if Team U.S. wins, and that means Mexico would have to re-qualify for the next World Baseball Classic round. If Canada wins, the U.S. would finish last in Pool D, and the Americans would have to re-qualify. Either way, Italy's going to Miami, and either the U.S. or Canada will join them based on what happens this afternoon. It might be confusing to hear, qualified to play in the World Baseball Classic, and that's because before this event starts, there are qualifying rounds of the tournament that happen throughout the globe in the fall. and that determines which 16 countries get to the actual tournament. There's a base hit for Eric Hosmer. So Eric Hosmer with his second hit of the World Baseball Classic. Sam Ryan has more on him.
Yeah, and actually, Jimmy Rollins just scared a scouting report on Philippe Almont with Eric Hosmer. If you know the story, Almont is in the Phillies organization, so Jimmy's somewhat familiar with him. He said, watch out, his fastball's got a little tail on it.
Bunting is Shane Victorino, who pops it foul.
Little tail on it means it's going to be moving down and away from a left-hand hitter. And, as a result, Hosmer took it up the middle. Nice hard turf at Chase Field for a hitter. And even Omont at 6'7" couldn't jump and knock that ball down.
Philippe Omont did not fare well in his previous WBC outing. Gave up 3 earned runs on 3 hits. Walked a batter in the lopsided Mercy Rule loss to Italy 2 days ago. It's funny how these themes emerge. We talked Twins earlier, Pirates earlier, Phillies here. On Philly property came from the Mariners in the Cliff Lee deal against the former Philly Shane Victorino.
Casey Stengel, butcher boy. Trick there. You show bunt, get the third baseman charging, and then try to slap it by him. That's what Shane did right there. Fouled it off.
Hosmer off first with nobody out. The 0-2 home, a ball and 2 strikes now. Swing and a miss. 1 gone in the 7th.
Shortstop, Jimmy Rollins.
So now Jimmy Rollins, the Philly theme continues. Three-time All-Star is hitless 0 for 3 so far today and is behind 0-1. The U.S. has never led in this one. Canada scored twice in the second on the Michael Saunders home run. The U.S. tied it with 2 in the 4th. Canada edged back out on top with a lone run in the 6th, and that explains where we are here in the top of the 7th. Rollins bounces it through the hole on the right side. Runners at the corners with 1 away.
That plays into what Sam Ryan said about Philippe Almont's scouting report by Jimmy Rollins. If the fastball moves down and away, you can usually hit it on the ground. Hosmer actually ran like he was stealing. He never looked to pick up the ball. And Jimmy Rollins pulled it in the perfect spot, the hole between first and second.
So now Brandon Phillips. He drove in a run yesterday. The U.S. 1 for 5 this afternoon with runners in scoring position. There goes Rollins. Robinson does not throw down. Well, J-Roll got a big jump on Philippe Almont.
Well, that's another thing about knowing a guy that you played with, 6'7". It's going to take him a while to unload the ball, and Jimmy Rollins never hesitated. Robinson had no chance on that breaking ball to even make a throw.
Ryan Braun waiting next. And now Robinson and Oma want to chat. Philippe Beaumont has been in a situation similar to this in the past. Back in the 2009 World Baseball Classic, Canada versus the U.S. First round in Toronto, U.S. up 2. Beaumont worked himself into a bases-loaded jam and then got out of it without giving up a run. He got David Wright, got Kevin Youkilis, and got Curtis Granderson. That kept Canada within 2 runs. Little infield pop here. Orr and Votto negotiating, and it's Pete Orr that makes the catch. So Philippe Beaumont is trying to recreate getting in and out of a jam against the Americans here 4 years later.
Designated hitter.
Of course, if he had his way, he never would have gotten into the jam to begin with.
Disappointing at bat for Brandon Phillips. There's that fastball moving up and in on him. With 2 men on. And a chance to wait for a hitter's pitch. He really did Oman a favor chasing on that one. Chasing that one up and in. Braun's very aggressive early in the count as well.
5-time All-Stars 1 for 3 today. And takes a high fastball for a strike. Ryan Braun just missed a home run yesterday. And before the grand slam by David Wright, what was probably the biggest swing by an American here in Phoenix all weekend. Hit it about 450 feet foul into the left field corner. Brawny behind 0-2 here. The 0-2. And we'll try it again.
Beaumont gets it up there over 95 miles an hour with movement. With the shadows still lurking there, that's doesn't give you a lot of reaction time if you're Ryan Braun.
1 for 5 today and just 5 for 32 in the tournament. Braun hits it on the ground to the left side. Green is there, going to first, and just as it happened in 2009, Philippe Beaumont gets into trouble and then gets out of the jam, keeping Team USA at bay. 7th inning stretch. Canada continues to lead by a run. Aerial shots are made possible today by one of America's most recognized blimps, Snoopy 2. MetLife is proud to deliver coverage of today's game and equally proud to provide access to financial security. See what you can do today at MetLife.com. MetLife, I can do this. Team USA running out of chances, down a run to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Cale Orge will lead things off against the new U.S. pitcher, Arizona Diamondbacks right-hander Heath Bell.
One of the pitchers for Team Canada with less big league experience than the USA pitchers have done some job.
Guy they call Heater making his first appearance in the World Baseball Classic. He's a return Heater to the event, pitched for Team USA in 2009 as well. And he pops up Cale Orge, there's one away.
And looking ahead, you mentioned USA, just a couple more chances. Canada has one of the better closers in baseball. They have John Axford. John threw a dozen pitches yesterday, but he's available to pitch today, and he'd be the guy Ernie Witt would call on to close the game.
Tyson Gillies now with one away, 0 for 12 so far in the tournament. The only player in the tournament with as many at-bats without a base hit. That's Jimmy Henderson up in the bullpen for Team Canada, preparing to work the 8th. Henderson was one of those involved in the fracas yesterday that you wondered about, any lingering effects. Gillies taps it back to Bell, and there are 2 away.
We talked about that fracas, Matt, and just to get it out there in the Cliff Notes version, it all started because there is a importance to score as many runs as you can in the World Baseball Classic should there be a tiebreaker. Canada trying to add to their 6-run lead, bunted in the last inning. Luis Cruz, third baseman for Mexico, took exception to it, advised the pitcher to hit Rene Tassoni. They did, and that's when the fight broke out. They're going to look seriously at that rule in World Baseball Classic. It's your instinct as a player to do that, and I think there's other ways they can do to break the tie. Talked to Tony Clark of the Players Association this morning, and they're having meetings to figure out if there might be a little different rule to break that tie. Should two teams tie for second place or first place?
0-1 the count to Taylor Green.
My method would be to break the tie. The team that throws the highest percentage of strikes per inning and spends the least amount of time on the field advances. Means you have to throw strikes and not linger around on the field.
I tell you, from a broadcast standpoint, I like that idea a lot.
I think the fielders would like it too.
It's fouled off into the corner. Well, this was yesterday. Canada's Chris Robinson had been involved in a couple of tough slide plays, once on the defensive side. That was unavoidable contact. A couple of late slides, but that really wasn't the issue, as we discovered. It was this. Robinson bunting, Luis Cruz taking exception. He told Arnold Leon to hit Rene Tassoni, and then it really got ugly. There were some scary moments in this, and it wasn't just one of those baseball fights when benches clear and everybody chirps and they push each other around. There were punches being thrown, people being tackled, fans got involved, things were being thrown from the stands.
I tell you, it's fortunate for the World Baseball Classic that no one was injured, because you can imagine an organization, if a Morneau or an Adrian Gonzalez or an important player, any player were injured, they say enough of that. So I think that's why they're going to take a look at a different way to break the tie, so incidents like that don't happen.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Taylor Green. He'd love to get on base to give Joey Votto a chance to bat with somebody aboard. Doing his best to stick around against Heath Bell, still 2-2.
All these all-star players on both teams, it's that thing that pitchers despise more than anything, particularly late in the game, a lead-off walk to Joey Votto. That's what enabled Canada to take the 3-2 lead in the 6th inning.
Heath Bell working in his new home ballpark. And the 2-2. Swung out and missed. A 1-2-3-7. Moving on to the 8th. Canada still on top by a run.
Would you be my love? Would you be mine? Would you be
at the General?
One of these two teams moves on. A 3-2 lead for Canada here in the final game in Pool D. Jim Henderson is the new Canadian reliever. He will work to Joe Mauer starting out the top of the 8th inning. Mauer, Wright, and Zobrist. 3 runs on 6 hits for Canada. 2 runs, 7 hits for Team US. Again, the winner moves on to Miami. The loser is done.
Another example, Team Canada coming out with a 10-year minor league veteran. Most of the pitchers the USA lineup has faced very little major league experience, but the deeper this game goes, the more pressure on this lineup. You know, they're favored, they're all-stars, MVPs, big league hitters. You have a tendency late in the game, squeeze that bat a little tighter, and we haven't really seen the explosiveness of this USA lineup because of that.
Joe Mauer's aboard, a leadoff base hit to open the 8th.
Merv Retman, longtime big league hitter, used to say he was very proud of his hitting ability. 3 things are sure: death taxes, and Merv Retman will get 3 hits out of every 10 at bats. Well, Joe Mauer's in that category. He might get more than 3.
Leadoff hitters aboard. The tying run on base to start things in the 8th for David Wright. Wright has doubled, walked, and scored today. A fine afternoon of international play for David. He was the hero yesterday for Team US. Grand slam that beat Italy. The Americans have put their leadoff man aboard in 4 of the 8 innings now that they have opened in this game, and have just the 2 runs to show for it, both of them coming in the 4th on a couple of singles and an error. Can you talk about Jim Henderson's road to the big leagues in the 10 years he spent in the minors? Jim is one of the few players still active who can claim being drafted by the Expos. Happened in 2003. He was a 26th rounder out of Tennessee Wesleyan. Three balls and no strikes to David Wright.
Yeah, interesting situation. Do you turn David Wright loose? 3-0. Got plenty of quality hitters coming up behind him. Zobrist on deck. Oftentimes hitters are not the same hitter on 3-0. They tend to overswing. So even if they get the green light, oftentimes they don't swing at the 3-0 pitch. But I would think right here, if David Wright wants to, he's got the green light.
Instead he takes, and he takes ball 4. The go-ahead run on base now. See a pinch hitter now. Arizona Diamondback utility man Willie Bloomquist is pinch running rather.
For Team USA, number 18, Willie Bloomquist.
And you can see the huddle on the mound for Canada, and you can see Ben Zobrist with a long look at Willie Randolph. And most of you that follow baseball know right now the object of Ben Zobrist is to make Taylor Green field that ball, field the bunt, and advance the runners.
See some really tricky shadows on the field now. And here is Zobrist, who's been on base in all 3 of his plate appearances. Bunting, he pops it up. Robinson makes the catch. That's the first time an American has not executed the sacrifice properly today. We've seen some great small ball. It did not work on that occasion.
The little things, no matter what level you play in the game at. Canada has the lead because of leadoff walk. Got the barrel of the bat below the ball instead of keeping it above the ball, and that's why he popped it up. Normally a good bunter.
Here's Adam Jones now. Jones has driven in a run today, came with a sac fly in the 4th. 0-1. Eric Hosmer on deck next with 1 away. Jones behind 0-2. Well, you know what Ernie Whitt's trying to do. He's trying to get this to the 9th with a lead to use John Axford. Joe Torre's wheels are also turning in so much as how he's going to use his bullpen. Craig Kimbrell has not pitched in the World Baseball Classic. Ball and 2 strikes to Adam Jones.
I tell you, for guys that organizations have given up on, pitchers from Team Canada come in. That was 97 miles an hour. Scott Matheson, just in case.
Runners go, and Jones sends it into the left center field gap. That's going to score a pair. Team USA with its first lead of the ball game. Here's Eric Hosmer now, 4-3 Americans. And Hosmer takes a strike.
Watch the flight of this ball. You get a shot there of Jones running the bases. You mentioned earlier how Tyson Gillies. Now watching your picture, he goes over. Oops! Not hearing the crack of the bat. Instead of running straight back, he ran over. Realized there's no way he can get it. Then he had to run back. So he took a not what you'd call a perfect route to the ball. And maybe one of the reasons was, you've pointed out earlier, with his hearing disability, didn't hear the crack of the bat. Now that would have been a difficult catch, but I'm sure that Tyson wished he would have run toward the warning track and given him a chance to maybe at least knock it down. Granted, that ball was stung. I mean, it might have been knuckling out there.
Right. 2 balls and a strike to count to Eric Hosmer. Big swing and a miss. Here's how Larry Bowa saw it.
These are grown men, folks. But you get to act like a kid. You have that suit on.
Oh, I love it. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was getting ready to say that's a 67-year-old man out there doing the yeah. There's no truth to the rumor, by the way, that when these games are over, Larry Bowa goes to a local area Chuck E. Cheese and heckles the kids playing whack-a-mole.
Back.
Throw in behind Jones. You know, back to your point, Kitty, it's really an interesting one on the route that Gillies took on that line drive, that RBI double by Adam Jones. When you watched where Gillies was and as the ball was on its way to left center field, you thought in your mind there is a chance he could close ground, lay out, and make the catch. As you said, it would have been a magnificent play. But then when you saw the route, there was no shot as Hosmer swings and misses for route number 2.
Now you're going to see him out in center field. Now you run straight over. And it looked from up here, he was closing ground, and all of a sudden he had to make a right-hand turn and run toward the warning track.
You know, the ball is also in and out of the shadow here.
It's difficult. It's not by no means saying that Tyson Gillies misplayed that ball. That's a difficult one, but if he had it to do over again, he would have taken a little different route toward it, more toward the warning track. instead of straight across.
Shane Victorino now sends a little flare out to shallow left. Lowen coming on, throwing. Jones is going to score from second, and the U.S. adds another. Boy, is that a big run. Here comes Ernie Witt. And it looks like he's going to make a change.
Going with the pitch, just a little blooper with Adam Jones' speed. No chance to get him at home.
Yeah! 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 Yeah!
Hey, Bo, it's only baseball.
That a boy, Jonesy! That's what I'm talking about! Nice going.
Canada goes to the bullpen, a pitching change. The U.S. has scored 3 to take a 5-3 lead. We'll be right back. Scott Matheson is the new pitcher inserted on for Team Canada, just trying to quiet down the suddenly noisy Americans. Team USA has scored 3 this half inning to take their first lead of the afternoon. Jimmy Rollins top of the order with the runner aboard, 3 runs in and 2 away. Matheson was knocked around in that mercy rule loss to Italy 2 days ago. A ball and a strike to count to Jimmy Rollins.
David Wright had a good influence, big influence on this 3-run inning, just based on what he's done yesterday and today, because the 4-pitch walk to David Wright gave the USA a chance to score an extra run, take the lead.
Another Philadelphia story being told in this game. Scott Matheson spent a lot of time, in fact 10 years with the Phillies. Significant time with the big league team over 3 seasons. Last year was in Japan. 40 appearances with the Yomiuri Giants, and threw the ball very well. Falling behind Jimmy Rollins, 3 balls and a strike. Brandon Phillips next. Runner goes as Rollins lifts a fly ball into the right field corner for Michael Saunders. Team USA, however, gets on the board 3 times in the 8th, and now it's Canada with their backs to the wall. Going to the bottom of the 8th inning, the Americans up by 2. By Chevrolet, find new roads. And the Dominican Republic, the vacation of your dreams is closer than you think. Dominican Republic has it all. A new pitcher for Team USA, David Hernandez, takes over on the mound to work the last of the 8th. He'll get the meat of the Canadian order: Joey Votto, Justin Morneau, and Michael Saunders.
So the logical question, if you're a USA fan, is, hey, where's the left-handers face this guy? Well, at this stage of the game, whether you're left or right, you go with your best weapons. Joe Torre feels like with David Hernandez live fastball, that's who they're going to go with right here.
You saw him working to the new catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, takes over for Joe Mauer. David Hernandez last year as an Arizona Diamondback averaged well over 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. One of the better numbers, one of the higher numbers in Major League Baseball, let alone the senior circuit. His participation in the World Baseball Classic is unusual because we keep very close to seeing him pitch for Team Mexico. However, he could not gather the proper documentation necessary to become eligible on that roster. So with the paperwork in question, he was a late addition to the Team US roster when Chris Perez was scratched because of a shoulder injury. And he is thrust into a very big role here.
There's the strikeouts per 9 innings, and as Joe Torre and Greg Maddox told us, we have relievers can face lefties or righties. There are some that are specialists.
Into the shortstop hole. Rollins is up with it. The throw to first is offline, and Joey Votto beats it out. He's aboard to lead things off in the 8th.
Nice call. Sorry? Nice call.
Jimmy Rollins gets to the ball. Hosmer tries to stretch and hold onto it, but his foot comes off the bag.
And that's going to be ruled an infield single for Votto. A runner aboard. Now Justin Morneau represents the tying run. Oh, there has been some terrific late innings intrigue in this one this afternoon.
Here you got a guy who's swinging the bat well against one of the best fastballs you could look at. Steve Cishek, the hard-throwing righty, getting ready in the USA bullpen.
Morneau a little early and yanks that one foul.
And when you said a little early, that's the operative word. A veteran hitter looking at a pitcher like Hernandez and say, wait, it's a little hard to see with the shadows. Maybe this guy throws an upper 90s. If I'm going to catch up with his fastball, I've got to get started a little early. As a result, he was out in front of the breaking ball.
That's lifted foul in the other direction, also out of play. To your point earlier, Jim, you talked about the versatility of the U.S. bullpen and how Greg Maddox was particularly proud of the fact that they've assembled a group of relievers that are just as effective to both sides of the plate. So David Hernandez, the right-handed pitcher, and you'd think, wow, these are potentially bad matchups. Votto, Morneau, Sanders. Right-handers, or rather left-handers, have hit only .240 against David Hernandez as recently as last year. So he is effective against both sides of the plate, as you had indicated earlier. Saunders waiting next. Morneau fishes a strikeout, one away. Justin did not look comfortable in that plate appearance, and for the first time all weekend long.
Well, that's the advantage you have in that good fastball. That's in the back of your mind as a hitter.
Right fielder.
And then all of a sudden with 2 strikes, you see that breaking ball and you get way out in front. And again, it's the advantage of being ahead in the count. Expand the strike zone. That's not a indication of lack of discipline by Justin Morneau. It's a credit to the great stuff of David Hernandez.
Michael Saunders now bunting, and nobody smelled that coming. Hernandez is on it. The throw is high, and everybody's safe. But David Hernandez should be very grateful that Eric Hosmer is as tall as he is, because he looked like he was about to airmail that thing into an extra base for everybody.
I'm still scratching my head a little about that play from Canada's standpoint. Michael Saunders has been as good a run producer as they have. Now he drops down a bunt. The tying runs are on base, but he's putting it in the hands of Chris Robinson, who is not the threat that Michael Saunders is. I'm not sure how Ernie Witt would look at that. I almost think he would have rather seen Saunders swing the bat.
Here is Robinson. He represents the go-ahead run. Offers it a slider to fall behind 0-1.
You know, there's sometime you can leave it up to the next guy if you've got a power hitter, particularly a left-hand hitter behind you. But here you're working toward the bottom of the lineup, and he's been the guy, Saunders, that's done a lot of the damage. 2-run homer in this game already.
1-1.
Nice job by Lucroy. Hernandez has a late breaking sharp breaking ball. Lucroy, catchers don't get enough credit when they make blocks like that. They get charged with pass balls, but that kept the runners at first and second in the double play in order.
2-1. Chris Robinson has played with Canadian national teams for most of his adult life. Played his college ball at the University of Illinois. He was a third-round draft choice by the Tigers in 2005. He's represented his home country in the Olympic Games, in World Cup play, and various international amateur tournaments. In a very big spot here. 2-2 now. Adam Lowen delivered what was at the time a go-ahead base hit back in the 6th. He waits next.
See David Wright reach it, and third base umpire Michael Uboa check that Miguel Hernandez from Venezuela right on the call.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Runners at first and second, 1 away.
Tia Robinson's having some good swings against tough pitches. Ball was meant to be on the inside part. He got it out over the plate. Tough pitch to catch up with. High fastball.
Still 2-2. John Axford is up and hot in the Canadian bullpen, and he continues just to throw lightly to stay loose regardless of what happens here. Axford will pitch the 9th. The 2-2 again fouled away, and I'll tell you, Chris Robinson is really, at the very least, making David Hernandez work. Here comes Greg Maddux.
Don't know what Greg spotted from the bench, but whatever it is, chances are it's worthwhile information if it's coming from him.
Here's the next 2-2 pitch, the 9th pitch of the at-bat. And Robinson continues to hang around.
Boy, this is some at-bat.
5 straight foul balls.
You just fight off. You fight off the pitcher's pitches and hope that he makes a mistake and you can center one up.
Votto and Saunders aboard with 1 away. Canada down 2. That's punched into right. A base hit. They're going to hold Votto at third, and Canada has loaded the bases with 1 away for Adam Lowen. What a super job by Chris Robinson.
Yeah, Chris Robinson has been a minor leaguer, not a big leaguer. That was a big league at bat. Foul off those kind of tough pitches and then get one into right field, load up the bases. What a moment this is for Adam Lowen. You pointed out, Matt, his past with baseball in general and particularly baseball for Team Canada.
Here is Adam Lowen now, who, as we mentioned in the 6th inning, delivered an RBI single that at the time broke the 2-2 tie. He picked on the first pitch and got to Glenn Perkins. He's taking a first pitch fastball here. I think it's a worthy point. We saw that Steve Cishek was up in the bullpen for the Americans. Craig Kimbrell has not been up yet. And had this been a different situation, maybe October, November baseball, this might be a spot for a closer.
No question. The other thing is Jeremy Affeldt, a lefty, usually brought in during the middle of innings, but he was up earlier, and Joe Torre didn't use him. So maybe in respect to the Giants, because organizations hate that. You get a guy up and you send him down, then you get him up again. Pitchers aren't used to doing that. I have a feeling that's why we're not seeing Jeremy Affeldt right here.
A ball and a strike to Adam Lowen. 1-2. David Hernandez has been consistently in the middle 90s with his fastball this inning.
And here's where you have to trust your catcher also as a pitcher like David Hernandez. You saw what he did to Justin Morneau. Throws that biting slider down in the dirt, and you just trust that Lucroy can do the job and block it.
Did he go around the appeal? He did not, says Venezuelan umpire Miguel Hernandez. 2-2.
Joe Torre shaking his head. Well, let's see what they saw from the bench. Borderline. Tough call. Could have gone either way.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Another left-handed hitter next. Pete Orr on deck. And now it's full 3-2. The shadows, which had been problematic earlier, have now almost completely encased the field. Only Ben Zobrist in right and Eric Hosmer at first base remain in sunlight. Been a 27-pitch inning so far for Hernandez.
These guys are putting some good 2-strike swings on. Very impressive. You're going to get them out. It's going to have to be with a pitcher's pitch, not getting by with any borderline pitches. Fastball upstairs. I think this tournament is kind of caught on.
Oh, I mean, everybody's on their feet. There's almost 23,000 paid here in the ballpark today. Both top steps in the dugouts are full. Everybody knows what's at stake here. Whoever wins this afternoon goes to Miami and moves on to the tournament. The loser goes home. Lowen bounces it to the right side of the infield. Phillips is up. He throws out. When a run does score, it's back to a 1-run contest. 5-4 Americans.
A run saver by Brandon Phillips. You got a Gold Glover out there, stretched out, makes the play. The Canadians score 1, but without this play and his ability, it's a tie game. Now some strategy for Joe Torre. Pete Orr's the hitter. He's a lefty. Cale Orge is a righty on deck. First base is open.
Well, here comes the skipper to discuss that very issue. They had Steve Cishek up, and they're going to make the change. So David Hernandez gone in the 8th inning. This is the second trip to the mound this inning, so there was a change coming. And here comes Steve Cishek. Canada has the tying run at third with 2 away. A pitching change, and we'll be right back. Well, both dugouts are spinning as Ernie Witt's Canadian team has rallied for a run here in the bottom of the 8th. They have got the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position with 2 gone. Joe Torre has made a pitching change. One of the right-handed arms that has most impressed Greg Maddux here in the WBC is that of Marlins closer Steve Cishek.
And Matt, they've said we got pitchers that can get lefties or righties on. And they are. I would think they're going to walk Pete Orr Ernie Witt does have some left-hand pinch hitters on his bench. Cale Orge due up. And here comes Tim Smith. I believe Cale Orge has a very long swing. So rather than go against a guy who's been playing every day, swinging the bat pretty well, they'll load the bases and go at Tim Smith. And again, I think if Jeremy Affeldt had not been up in the game earlier, he would be in this situation to face a lefty. Tim Collins, the little lefty, I think they bring in to start an inning, and obviously they're facing Steven Kimbrell for the 9th. That's Luke Gregerson getting ready to do some damage control if Cishek doesn't get the side out.
Well, we could probably guess right in saying that for Tim Smith, this is one of the bigger at-bats of his baseball life.
Pinch hitting for
The pinch hit with the bases loaded.
14,
Canada down a run, last of the 8th and 2 away. Toronto native, who is property of the Orioles organization, originally drafted by the Rangers in 2007, a 7th rounder out of nearby Arizona State. Nowhere to put him here. Cishek starts him with a strike.
Cishek and Lucroy don't work together very often. They just want to make sure with a man on second, you know, you're going through a sequence of signs. And Cishek wants to make sure, which sign are we using? I don't want to cross you up and throw one to the backstop.
The 0-1. You know, here's a really important point, as is being brought up to me by the great Ed Safita. Even if Canada doesn't score here, they will have sent 7 batters to the plate and turned the lineup over to give Joey Votto at least one more at bat, and to give Morneau and Saunders a real puncher's chance of swinging the bat again in the 9th.
And in all probability against Craig Kimbrell.
A ball and 2 strikes to the pinch hitter Tim Smith. Fastball straightened up the pinch hitter, straightened up 22,000 in the stands, and is called inside.
Let's go!
Take a look at it again.
Inside, see the catcher reach for it.
Tough pitch to lay off. The 2-2. Smith chops it to the right side of the infield for Phillips. The Canadian summer with 1. Cishek limits the damage in the 8th. You couldn't have filled this script with any more drama. A 1-run ball game as we head to the 9th. Scott Matheson will continue on the mound for Team Canada. Down a run, Jonathan Malo is the new shortstop, taking over for Cale Orge. And here in the top of the 9th inning, the Americans up a run will send up Brandon Phillips, followed by Ryan Braun and Jonathan Lucroy.
Well, it's been some kind of ball game by, you know, Team Canada that certainly doesn't have the big league experience in the field or on the mound. And boy, they've played this all-star team, you know, just like they're an all-star team of their own. Very impressive by the Canadians.
Brandon Phillips with a drive into center field. That ball is crushed over Tyson Gillies. A leadoff double in the U.S. 9th.
And again, there's some anytime there's a game like this where you can make all kinds of moves, there's bound to be questions. Why didn't the manager do this or that? Pitch down and in, that's where hitters like it. They can drop the barrel on it, boom. So from Team Canada, I'm sure there's some of their fans say, well, where's John Axford? You know, why didn't they use him to close out the game? Well, first of all, in spring training, you're not going to use a closer. If Ernie Witt used John Axford for 6 outs, he'd have the Milwaukee Brewers on the phone saying, what are you doing to my guy?
It's a great point. It's a great point.
Why isn't he there now? Well, because if the game gets tied up or something, they want to be able to use him. So if they used him for an inning now and they came back and tied the game, they wouldn't be able to use him again. So.
And I wasn't even thinking ahead. You talk about, again, the Brewers have something to say about all this.
Yeah.
And when we saw John Axford up earlier, I was convinced he was going to pitch the 9th regardless. But you make a great point.
Yeah, if they tie the game in the bottom of the 9th, then they want to be able to use him. The same situation we talked about with Joe Torre and Jeremy Affeldt. Once you get a pitcher up, especially in spring training, you're a little hesitant to make him warm up again. Personal standpoint, I don't think it's a big deal, but that's the way the game is played today, and you have to honor an organization's wishes.
If Ron Renneke wants to extend John Axford for 2 innings, he can do that.
In September.
Contractually speaking, that's all okay.
Yeah.
Ernie Witt would have a hard time selling that. A ball and a strike to count to Ryan Braun. A very big run out there at second base. Brandon Phillips, who has doubled to start things out in the 9th. In the bottom of the 9th inning for Team Canada, they will have the top of the order. Gillies, Green, and Votto. Braun hanging around, still the ball and 2 strikes.
I talked to Ryan Braun before the start of the tournament and said, is it going to be a challenge if you're a run producer to try to do something, and you see what he did on that swing? He's knocks in runs, but with a man on second, nobody out, he's doing his best to try to hit the ball the other way and advance the runner. It's not really his normal style.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Struck him out. Big punch out for Scott Matheson, 1 away.
Good pitch in that situation. You got a hitter trying to hit it the other way. Run it in on him. Swings right over it. Brandon Phillips taking a long look at the second baseman. He's trying to get a little extra lead off.
Jonathan Lucroy takes the first pitch and shoots it into right field. Phillips is being waved around. Saunders is up and throwing. It's not in time. 6-4 American.
Third baseman, David Wright.
How about that, Jonathan Lucroy? He shoots one the other way, and the kind of speed of Brandon Phillips scores that run easily.
Well, so that 1 run that Team Canada that 1 run that Team Canada had to scrap for in the bottom of the 8th is neutralized. It's back to a 2-run advantage for Team USA. And now David Wright. A ball and a strike. First pitch Jonathan Lucroy sees today. shoots it into right and makes it a 6-4 ball game. That was the 1-0 pitch. A little backup slider. David thought it was inside, whatever it was. And the 2-1. Breaking ball misses inside. 3 balls and a strike now.
Thinking about the first 8 1/3 innings of this game and all the things that have happened or could happen or decisions that had to be made by players and managers, and if somebody gets a CD of this game, organizations,
that's into the other corner and foul.
How about you get this on a CD and you sit your minor league managers down in the conference room and you say, okay, what would you have done here? How would you have played this? And, you know, because there's a lot of decisions from managers and players that could have been made. Say Michael Saunders bunt, or why didn't you bring in this pitcher? Or it's been that kind of a game where whichever team loses, you can second guess forever.
The 3-2, runner goes, and it's ball 4. So a double, and then a 1-out single, and now a base on balls. And it gets a little stickier for Team Canada. Here comes Ernie Witt. John Axford was up again. He's hot. Yeah, with Canada likely unable to withstand any more U.S. damage, it looks like Ernie Witt's making the change.
Yeah, that's what he's forced to do right now, is to try his best to keep it a 2-run ball game. And if his team does come back, they'll just have to go to one of their other relievers.
The pitching change. We'll be right back. Our thanks to MetLife's Blimp Snoopy 2 and its all-star team of pilots, mechanical engineers, and ground crew that made today's spectacular aerial coverage of the 2013 World Baseball Classic possible. Saw Ken Griffey Jr. behind the controls earlier today. Well, John Axford will come on to try to limit this at just 1 run and hold the deficit at 2.
Had a little tougher year last year. John Axford did 35 saves, but 9 of them got away. But he's been pretty solid for the Brewers. And Ernie Witt saying right now, I need to save this game, even though I'm down 2, to give my lineup a chance in the bottom of the 9th.
29-year-old Ontario native. Try to neutralize a couple of base runners and keep them stranded. It's Ben Zobrist who'll swing the bat for the Americans. You mentioned the 9 blown saves by John Axford last year. That was the most in Major League Baseball. Headed into 2013, however, the Brewers are encouraged because Axford's finished the year in really good shape. He was 15 of 16 in his final 19 appearances and had an ERA in the middle 2s along the way. Those hiccups were early. Zobrist sends a fly ball into the left field corner. Lowen is out there giving it a look. It's 0-2.
Graphic we showed you briefly there was the runners in scoring position, and that's been the talk of the USA lineup. David Wright referred to it after his grand slam yesterday. He said, you know, we're getting a lot of hits, but other than the grand slam, we're not really getting those extra base hits with men on base, and today's a different story. 3 for 5.
The 0-2 to Ben Zobrist, misses high. Once again, when Canada bats in the 9th inning, they'll have the top of the order: Gillies, Green, and then Votto. And if they should build any momentum, it would be Morneau and Saunders, a pair that has far and away been their most effective combination this World Baseball Classic, and it's going to be Craig Kimbrell to face them. U.S. closer is hot and ready to go. Well, chopper to third. Tough play. A long throw across the diamond by Green is not in time, and the bases are loaded. And the U.S. has a chance to blow this open here in the ninth.
Well, you chalk that up if you're John Axford, just a tough break.
Adam Jones.
Mentioned this infield plays almost like AstroTurf. Just hits beyond the bag fair right there. Taylor Green, there's no way he can get to third base and beat the runner. He's only got one option. Zobrist, being a left-hand hitter, gets out of the box quick enough to beat out an infield hit.
Here's Adam Jones now. He's driven in 3 runs this afternoon. It is a very strong candidate for player of the game should things end at where they're going. The RBI double in the 8th. That was the blow that gave the U.S. the lead, a lead that was padded by the Shane Victorino single. Oh, and 2. Valdez with only 1 away. Phillips opened the inning with a double. Braun struck out. Jonathan Lucroy drove in the run. Wright walked. And then Zobrist with the infield single. Only one vacancy in Miami. The Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Italy all moving on. Hanson brothers have quieted down. Axford's 0-2. Eric Hosmer waits on deck for Team USA. The infield stays in tight for Canada. Team Italy advanced out of this pool by virtues of a comeback win over Mexico, the first game played in Pool D. And then an upset win, a mercy rule beating of these Canadians. So Italy with its 2 wins, they lost to Team USA yesterday, but they go by virtue of the 2-1 record. Mexico eliminated. The winner between Canada and US also moves on. And Jones pops it up. Robinson 2 away.
Conference to the mound paid off. Chris Robinson ran out there and said, "What do you want to do?" Throwing in some fastballs. His foul. Let's go with the breaking ball. Got him out in front off the end, and a harmless little foul pop.
So now it's Eric Hosmer who has a single today. 2 for 12 in the World Baseball Classic thus far. Bases loaded, 2 gone. And a big fastball, 96 miles an hour, is in for a strike. One and one. Two balls and a strike from John Axford now. Lucroy, Wright, and Zobrist to board for Team USA. drilled to deep left center field, and Eric Hosmer picks a fine time to drive in his first runs of the tournament. A 3-run double, and indeed the U.S. has blown it open in the night. The fourth double of the afternoon for Team USA has made it 9-4.
And if this score holds up and fans look at this game, they have no idea what a competitive game this was and how Canada hung in there. I mean, Axford got a bad break on the Zobrist single, and then just a crushing blow by Hosmer.
You know, it's the kind of productivity the last couple of innings that fans of Team USA have been wondering about all tournament long. 7 runs in the last 2 innings. It's finally all clicked. We've talked about the relatively low numbers with runners in scoring position. Now that had been a problem in the first couple of games of the tournament, and that all goes away today. 9 runs on 14 hits.
Yeah, we didn't think this would be the exception. We thought it would be the rule. You know, here's a lineup you thought might win a few games by way of the mercy rule when you look up and down the entire lineup.
And that's going to do it. Called strike 3 taken by Shane Victorino. Not before Team USA can add 4 more runs. Some breathing room. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and Canada's down by 5. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Well, the Americans really pouring it on here in the last couple of innings. 7 runs to take a commanding 9-4 lead with 3 outs to go before moving on to Miami. Top of the order for Team Canada, and they will have the tall order ahead of them of having to face former Rookie of the Year right-hander Craig Kimbrell.
And if we read his stat, well, there they are. I mean, you're going to say no. That's a misprint, isn't it? 116 strikeouts in 62 innings. Perfect 42 for 42 in saves. I mean, that is the greatest example of power and control. When you look at 14 walks, doesn't allow many hits. I guess about the closest thing to a sure thing that there is. The great Mariano Rivera announcing his retirement yesterday, and Mo had those kind of stats for several years.
A rookie record in 2011 rather, with 46 en route to the Rookie of the Year award. Unanimous Rookie of the Year choice. As the saying goes, those are Sony PlayStation numbers, video game numbers. Mo Rivera-like, Eckersleyan.
Yeah, and even with all those great relievers we mentioned, nobody has, you know, that kind of strikeout ratio. I mean, look at Sandy Koufax over the course of the season, where he struck out 300 more men than he walked in a season. That's pretty hard to do.
And Tyson Gillies overmatched and caught looking at called strike 3. More World Baseball Classic action to come on MLB Network. Later on, it's the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. That's tonight, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Those are 2 teams that will both be moving on to Miami. And in 2 outs, the U.S. can claim the same thing. Here's Taylor Green now.
That was 2 inches higher.
drama in this game has not been reserved for the bottom of the ninth per se, but when it was 2-2 in the middle innings, when Canada was nursing that 1-run lead in the 6th, and then even then when the U.S. scored the 3 runs in the 8th, Canada came back and they made it close again with a run in the bottom of the 8th inning. It wasn't until the 4 runs in the 9th, the big Hosmer 3-run double, that the wind was taken out of the Canadian sail, if you will.
I look back to the 2 big outs Derek Holland got in inning number 2, and Canada could have gone up by 4. You can go over the whole 9th inning, just a play here, a play there, a couple sloppy plays in the field by Team Canada. They botched up a bunt, plays like that. When you look at the 9-4 score, you look back and you don't realize how many plays there were that could have turned the tide Canada's way.
Taylor Green with a drive out to right. He's going to stay in the ballpark for Zobrist with a little pop, makes the catch. And Canada is down to its final World Baseball Classic out. You know, it may have been a different story for the Canadian team here in Phoenix with a healthy Brett Lowry. I think each country could probably look back on choices players made to play or not, think, wow, we would have been better with Russell Martin. We might have been better with Jason Bay. Fact is, the Canadian team played very well this weekend.
Yeah, they had a chance to win this game with 6 outs to go, and I think Ernie Witt would say that's all we could ask. That deep lineup that the Americans have just eventually broke through.
A deep lineup for Team USA against a not as deep bullpen for Team Canada.
And yet the bullpen guys for Canada with limited major league experience did a fantastic job.
Two balls and a strike for Joey Votto. Well, for members of Team Canada like Joey Votto, who are property of major league organizations, it's back to big league camp tomorrow. And for Joey, that's a drive west to Goodyear, Arizona. 2-2. Craig Kimbrell and the Americans are a strike away from moving on to Miami. Team USA is headed to Miami. (9-4) the final score in the finale for Pool D. And an American lineup that had misfired at times over the weekend pulls itself together in a big way when it counts on Sunday. Team USA is Pool D winner.
A lot of big outs by pitchers. Great plays in the field. Brandon Phillips. A lot of key hits. This shows the depth and the talent of this all-star studded lineup Joe Torre has.
It's Italy and the United States moving on. Again, the United States technically wins Pool D. Italy finishes as the runner-up. Canada had the lead with a handful of outs to go, but the U.S. was able to overcome. A lot of candidates on an afternoon when the Americans scored 9 runs on 14 hits, but our Chevrolet player of the game this afternoon is Baltimore Orioles star Adam Jones. He had a sac fly, scored a run back in the 4th, and then delivered the big 2-run double in the 8th that gave the Americans their first lead of the afternoon, one that they would not relinquish. Adam Jones, your Chevrolet player of the game. He's standing by with Sam Ryan.
Absolutely, Matt. Here is Adam Jones. You guys are moving on to Miami for the second round. What was the tension like out there, Adam?
There was no tension. We just know that, like Joe said last night, it's Game 7, and we don't need to get pumped up for Game 7. You know, it is what it is, and we came out today, and so did Team Canada. They came out swinging the bats, and you know, we just were fortunate enough to get bigger hits.
3 runs batted in, courtesy of your bat. 2 in the 8th inning. This is after the failed bunt attempt by Ben Zobrist. So with 2 on, what was your thought process there?
Well, hey, that's what, you know, just like in the 9th inning or top 9, I failed to get the runners in, and Hosmer picked me up. We're all piggybacking each other, you know. We're all usually middle of the lineup hitters, and you know, I was just looking for something to drive into the gap, and I seen the Bloomy and Wright running, and I was able to get a slider up and drove it into the gap, and both guys were able to score.
Congratulations, Adam. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Back to you, Matt.
Sam, thanks. Jim, the first part of the journey is complete, and for Team USA, it's on to Miami.
Well, they played by far their best game, and I think we saw their full potential today.
Next up for Team USA, Miami. A reminder that Tuesday night, 8 Eastern on MLB Network, Team USA plays into the 2nd round, where they'll face the loser of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. That's coming up next. For Jim Cotton, Sam Ryan, this is Matt Vasgersian saying goodbye from Phoenix. Thanks for watching our coverage of the World Baseball Classic. Let's send you back to the studio and Paul Severino.